Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the 30th episode of the ClubHouse podcast. Today we have a very exciting guest. She's actually a news reporter. She's also the cousin of Miguel. So, looking forward to that conversation. But before we begin, we apologize for not posting last Saturday. The reason for that is because we are planning to have really good guests. We plan to have big guests this month. And if you guys haven't seen our Instagram post, we posted who our guests will be for this month. So for next week, we have Jason Ko. He's an entrepreneur, really big entrepreneur. We also have Kula Desma. She's a Filipino vocalist. And after that, we have my cousin now, John Perez, who was from Yale. So yeah, check those out if you haven't seen it. And if you're new to the clubhouse, you're in the right place if you want to become successful, receive free mentorship about the various industries from top tier professionals, and reach all your dreams. Here at the clubhouse, we delve deeper into the lives of successful individuals in different career paths and how you can do the same. So, welcome to the clubhouse where successful people are born and made to inspire others. So before we begin, I'm your co-host, Zach Pena.
And I'm Miguel Mendoza, and I'm very excited to start this episode. It's an industry that we haven't had yet here at the Clubhouse. It's the journalism industry, and yeah, let's get right into the episode. So our guest for today is a GMA news reporter. She was a former UAAP courtside reporter for UP Diliman, and she took broadcast communications in college. So please welcome Corinne Catibayan. Hi.
Hey guys.
Hi, Corinne. Thank you so much for
Hi.
Oh,
joining
Thank you so
us.
much for yeah.
it was courtside reporting for Adamson, and then but I
For Addison,
studied in
yeah.
UP Diliman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Hey
Yeah, thank you
guys,
so
how
much
are
for being
you?
here.
We're good. We're doing
Thanks for
good. Just
having
Okay.
me.
focusing
Yeah.
on the podcast. Yeah. So
That's good.
how's your journey like in news reporting, especially now with the pandemic?
So I started off, like you mentioned, Miguel, I started off as a courtside reporter. And through that, that's how I learned that I wanted to really focus on broadcasting. And during that time, it was for sports, right? But then I was always interested in news, and I was always curious about, what was going on in the world. So that's that was like my stepping stone to jumping into the news industry. And I applied as a reporter, and then thankfully, that's how I ended up here. And now during the pandemic, it's really changed the way that we do what we do, not just in my industry, but literally, everyone's lives have been affected by this pandemic. And with my industry, at least, like, it's taught me that, to adjust, because I was also only a reporter for a couple of months before the pandemic hit. So I was already adjusting during that time, pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, so then, adjust again. But it's made me realize also that, this is how life is right now, and you have to get on with it and make do and make sure that you're still able to push forward despite the big hurdle, which is COVID-19, right?
Yeah. It's really good to see that you were able to adjust with the pandemic. And that just shows how much you're passionate about what you're doing. But going back to what you said earlier, you said that you always wanted to try news and you were always curious about the world. Was this something that you thought of when you were a kid, or it's something that just grew on you over college?
Yeah, it wasn't since I was a kid. I was a totally different person back then.
Yeah.
And Miguel's laughing because he knows that. But but it was like, I want to say it was during college that I really, so I, like you mentioned also, I studied in UP Diliman and I took up broadcast communication, but my first course was actually political science. And um during that time, I thought that I wanted to take up law. but then it was through different experiences that led me to realizing that okay, I'm actually really interested in journalism and news because I feel that parang it's innate in me to be curious about what's going on and what's going on in society and how so many of the things that are being implemented by the government are affecting everyday Filipinos. And
Yeah,
I touched on that, and that's kind of what really made me realize that okay, this is really something that I'm interested in and I want to pursue it.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting because in our generation now, like a lot of because a lot of people are working towards their goals. Some people in college, they think that they have to do something as well. And like I like what you mentioned because you only found your love for reporting during college. So that's
Yeah.
something we want to remind also to the listeners that you're in college now and it's like a place for you to learn more about what you like. That's why in college you get to experience different orgs. You get to shift also different courses so you can learn what you actually like. So I want to ask you something about like when you report during COVID-19, don't you get like scared because you have to go to different places?
Yeah, it's always gonna be there. I mean, even pre-COVID, it was scary because it was such a different world and I was so new to it. And it was just very out of my comfort zone. But I feel that it's when you're out of your comfort zone that you're able to grow because you have no
definitely.
choice. You have no choice but to make sure that you're able to, you know, um, do or execute whatever it is that you need to do, even if you're uncomfortable, right? Because the you still need to you have to show for something, diba? But then I feel like pre-pandemic it was already scary, and then because I cover the crime beat, so
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I can
it's
imagine.
yeah it's just yeah it's very very different from just everything that I've experienced and seen firsthand, when I wasn't doing this. And during the pandemic, when when the virus hit and changed all of our lives, it became even scarier because I was already covering something scary, and then this it parang nagpatong-patong lahat, you get me? So it is scary, and also the fact that you just the thought that you can bring the virus into the household, because I'm the only one who goes out. I'm the only one whose work entails them to be out on field because everybody else can work from home. So extra precaution all the time, but you never know when it's gonna hit you, right? So it is scary, but you just have to parang ganon eh. So you just have to
Yeah,
do it.
you
Yeah.
always have to play it safe. But when it comes, you mentioned that you work in the crime scenes. Is that something that you chose or it was given to you?
So because I'm a new reporter, usually it's like parang that's it's like the baptism of fire. Like that's your starting point. Like all
Okay.
new reporters go through the graveyard shift, which is the night shift. And I feel like it's a good way to um parang to welcome to welcome
Yeah.
the new reporters into this field, because there you really learn, your eyes are open to so many things that eventually, when you're during when you work during the daytime, it's like, oh, okay, I've already seen the worst, so this is kaya
It's
ko na to,
chill. But
yeah, yeah.
what was the
So
most crazy or memorable experience that you've encountered?
there have been so many, but it's just and I get that question a lot, actually, because it's like,
Yeah.
diba, cry, so what do you see, but then
Yeah.
it's like all sorts of things that I you know would not have imagined that I would be able to experience. Like for example, okay, is it okay if I'll just share like a
Yeah.
random story? Like for example, the first time that I saw a dead body beside, like right in front of me, it was, I remember, parang we got um a message saying that, okay, there's somebody that died in this area, so, or parang that was shot in this area, so okay, that's your assignment, go to it. So we went. And then I remember, because when I got to the scene, it was super dark, pitch black, because obviously it was like maybe 2 a.m. already, right? And then I remember I was looking around and I couldn't see the man that was shot. So I was like looking. But then I saw there was a tricycle right beside me.
Yeah.
And then when I looked when I looked at the tricycle, I was about to ask, parang, san po yung namatay? And then when I looked at the tricycle, it was a, the driver was dead, shot, lying down. Akala
Oh
ko tulog
wow.
lang. But
Oh.
that was it. That was him. So I was like, I
Yeah.
was so shocked, and it was the very first
Yeah.
time that I was in front of somebody that had just experienced something so horrible right in front of my eyes. And obviously I couldn't react, because you also have to make sure that your composure and all of that. But inside, or like when I got home, I was like, oh my god, but after that, I mean, I don't want to say that you get used to it, but you are able, I think, to address, or it affects you in a way that you're able to work while making sure that you're still calm. And I think that's one of the main reasons also why they place new reporters in the graveyard shift, because it teaches you such an important skill, which is to be able to work under such grave amounts of pressure, and still be able to come up with a story with and submit it within a deadline. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the I guess you could say good things about it, because you really learn some of the skills needed to be able to be a good journalist.
And I think you become stronger also. And like I remember,
Yeah,
because there's this
yeah.
one day where like my family and I were watching the news, and then you were there, and then there was like you were standing in front of a fire. You remember that? Like there's a
Yeah, yeah.
like there's a fire that you're reporting in front of.
Yeah.
That's so scary. I can't imagine
It's
that. But
you're laughing, but it's scary, diba?
yeah, yeah,
It's crazy, because you're really you experience so many things that nobody would
yeah,
see in their lifetime. That's what also makes it
yeah,
so exciting. And parang you feel a sense of responsibility also, to make sure that you are able to tell this story the best way possible, because your audience, they're not going to ever see it themselves, and they're not going to experience it themselves. So it's, there's a sense of duty also, to make sure that you are able to present it to your audience in the best way possible. And that means, by making sure that they understand, and that they somehow end up caring also about what it is that's going on.
I like how you really have to be considerate about your thoughts and how you convey your messages, because one wrong line or say something wrong, it can affect a lot of people. But I just want to ask, what exactly do you do as a news reporter? Because I think you also mentioned that you write for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, so how it is I come into work at around either 8 p.m. or 10 p.m., and then you are either assigned a story already, and then when you're whatever it is, then you go to the place where the event, let's say, is being held,
Yeah.
or and then you interview whoever it is that you need to interview for that story, and then after that you write it, and then you submit it to the your news desk and then your editors, and then they send it back to you, and then right after that you go live, and then um yeah, so that's usually the timeline of it. But then because it's so time pressured, and you really need to make sure that you submit it, or you have to make sure that the way you manage your time is, you do it well, because if you take too long doing one thing, you won't be able to submit your script on time, or if you write for too long, they won't be able to edit it on time for them to give it back to you for you to be able to go live at a certain time. So it's time pressured, but it's also, like I said, it really, you really learn how to work under pressured environments.
So these when you write, so like for example, like 5 minutes ago something happens, you already have to write the script about that, and then a few minutes later you're already in the car on the way to the place.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
Wow.
So that's why you're like that. It's like go 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 go. But that's why it's also so exciting, because it's like, oh my god, this is happening, and then okay, you have to get there, and then you have to do the interview super fast, and then make sure that you have enough time to write it and then submit, and then it's like it's exhilarating, but it's also um nakaka-pressure, because
Mhm.
syempre you have to deliver, but that's part of the job, and it's what makes it so fun also at the same time.
Wow.
For someone who wants to get into news reporting, do they have to really be good like speaking Filipino?
It depends where you work, right? Because with the network that I'm in, the main medium is Filipino, but if it's in other news networks, it's different. So it depends where you want to work. And I think that's also actually one of the reasons why I decided that I wanted to go for a news channel that's medium is Filipino, because I wasn't so fluent, or no, I would say naman that I was fluent, but I wasn't as confident with the way with my Filipino. And for me, that's embarrassing, because nasa Pilipinas tayo, 'di ba? So parang why can't I, why am I not confident in my native language? Which is why I think I, all the more I wanted to work in a station where I would be forced to speak Filipino, because eventually, now I can say confidently that yes, I am fluent in Filipino, and that's I think one of the um main reasons. Like I said, I like being out of my comfort zone. So, and that's how you grow, and that's why I think I made, parang it's a little bit more nerve wracking, because there's more pressure, because you're not, sometimes you're not sure, like, is this how I say it, or is this, is my script like that. I had to get used to writing in Filipino also, which is so different from writing in English. Obviously, it's a different language altogether, but you learn along the way, and um it makes you're better for it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Miguel and
you're so
I,
good na nga in speaking. You're so good na nga in speaking Filipino. Like I remember,
Thank you.
I'm sure, like my family, like especially Monique and Maxine, they were so shocked.
I
But then,
know,
yeah,
I
you're so
know,
good.
until now, yeah. No, but then it's because diba, um in the house your first language is English, but then
Yeah.
it's, I don't know, I don't know if that's just me, but then in college I remember I would be shy speaking in Filipino, and I didn't like it that I was shy speaking in Filipino, because it's like, why can't I um talk properly in our language, and it frustrated me. So that's one of the things that pushed me to do it eventually.
Yeah. I really love that you take pride in learning your own language and know how to speak of it. Miguel and I definitely need some work and some help there.
It's okay. I was worse pa than you guys, I bet, when I was
Yeah.
starting out.
Yeah.
So if I can, then everybody else can.
Yeah, and I also really like how you always mention that you step out of your comfort zone, because I also really go by that. I think if you really want to progress and grow yourself, you definitely have to step out of your comfort zone. I go by this line. It says, the hard moments make or break you. And I think that's really true, because if there's something that you're passionate about or something that you want to try, but you have these questions in your head, oh, am I going to succeed or I might fail? You won't really know the answer if unless you try it, right? So it's really
You'll
good
never
that,
know. You'll never know.
yeah.
And
So,
that's
yeah.
one thing also that I learned is, the worst thing is it's a no, but you'll never find out if you don't try it, if you don't go for it. There'll always be so many questions and doubts and thoughts that will be surrounding your head. But if you don't do anything about it, it'll always just remain those things, thoughts and doubts and questions. But
Yeah,
wala,
that's so true.
parang what are you gonna do about it, diba?
Yeah. So in terms of stepping out of your comfort zone, what are since you're a GMA news reporter now, working in the crime space, what are the next
Beat,
steps
crime beat.
towards that? Oh, crime beat, yeah. What are the sorry, what are the next steps
Yeah.
for that? Like, do you plan to be like the ones on TV, like Ted Filon or something, or in CNN? Those is
Well,
that?
yeah, that's, I mean, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel that a lot of reporters eventually their end goal is to end up as an anchor, because that's, I I think, that would be the peak of your career, right? Because you're able to deliver the news to a large audience, even more so than while as a reporter. But yeah, that's hopefully, in the that's far future, but that's there. So you pray on it, but you just make sure also that you do your work now the best that you can.
Love that.
Yeah, for someone who wants to they're in college right now and they tell themselves that they wanna get into news reporting as their career, what path can they take? Like, do you recommend them to be a courtside reporter as well?
Relation to the broadcast um, industry, like the course that's related to it, journalism, broadcast communication. I took up broadcast communication, um, and that will help you. Although there are some people in the industry who have made it, but they didn't take up anything related to that, to the field, right? So it varies, but I feel like, also like you were asking about courtside reporting, you also don't necessarily have to do that to be able to um get into the industry, if that's what you're looking for. But I feel like everybody will have their own ways of going about it. And luckily for me, when I was a courtside reporter, that helped me realize that this is what I want to do. So it's not so much something that it's not a requirement that you have to be able to do this so that you can get here. It's not like that. It's more of something that
Yeah.
forward to realize, like, okay, this is what I want to do. So everybody else, you'll have your own stepping stones, and you'll have your own experiences that will lead you to realizing that the next step is here. And what you know the best advice that I would give is to experience it all. Like, don't hesitate, because there was, like, before, there was a person that came to me and was asking for advice about auditioning for courtside reporting, but they were so nervous, or they really didn't think that they could do it. And for me, like I said, the worst thing is that it's a no, or it won't work out, but at least that you tried. And you have to make sure that when you try your best, right? It's not just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. It has to be like, no, all out. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go all out for it, so that at least if it's a no, no regrets, because then you know that you gave it your all.
Yeah, I really like what you said, because some people also often ask or tell themselves, I don't know my passion. I don't know what I'm passionate about. But going back, it's really all about taking opportunities. Like, there are a lot of opportunities in front of you. There are a lot of experiences that you can go through that can help you realize, okay, I like doing this. It makes me happy. Maybe I can work on it more. Or, okay, I tried this out. I don't really like it. Then, that's an X already. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So, in regards to journalism in general, or news reporting, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're supposed to stay updated always with what's going on around the Philippines, around the world. You have to stay updated. What are some things that you do to keep yourself updated all the time? Do you do a lot of reading, or watching a lot of?
Yeah. No, you're correct when you say that you have to stay updated. I mean, it's your job. It's your job to know what is going on. And that's also, I think, innate in a lot of journalists. Like, you don't have to want to, parang it's not something na, okay, I have to read this or whatever. It's like, I feel like most journalists, it's innate in them to want to know what is going.
They're
It's like natural.
curious.
It's like a natural instinct for them to be on their phone reading the latest news and updates about whatever issue. And we're lucky now because we have our phones, where you can download all sorts of apps, all sorts of news apps. You don't need to wait for the newspaper to come in, or you don't need to um, you know wait for the newscast to come on TV. It's right, literally at the palm of your hand. And that's one way that I stay updated all the time, is, the moment I wake up, I check my phone and read about whatever it is that is going on. So, that's something that, for everybody or anybody who wants to do the same, it's so easy to stay updated. In fact, sometimes now, when somebody doesn't know something, it's like, how can you not, like, it's so accessible.
It's
right?
everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. So that's what makes it, I guess you could say, it makes it easier also. But the thing is, that I realized nowadays is, some people, who, like, if you're not in the industry, or if you don't, if you're not like me, who works as a reporter, you can turn away from the news, and you can, like, shut it off and say, nah, like, this is too mentally exhausting for me, so I don't need to read about it. But for me, on the other, like, I can't turn away, because I have to know, and I need, it's part of my job. So I think that's also something that, at least me, I have to work on sometimes, because parang I feel like, okay, I have to know about, this is going on, this, or, I have to, know everything. But sometimes I have to tell myself, it's okay. It's okay sometimes if you, put your phone down and not check right away, like, what is the, latest article that came out on this person or this issue. But yeah, it's all part of it, I guess.
Yeah, because
And
I
I think it's
also
also. Go ahead.
because I also read and watched a few videos in regards with, like, entrepreneurs. Um, Entrepreneurs, on the other hand, they don't want to associate themselves at all with the news, because it's just gonna add up, like,
Yeah.
information that you don't want. to know about,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
keep you thinking, and it's not gonna be good for the
Yeah.
type of work.
I think it's also great to, like this is what my mom tells me, like you should know the current events that's happening in your country because you're a Filipino. So it's also great to know like the news and to listen to the news, to read the newspaper and to check like what's happening to our country because you're Filipino, like it's like, it's best to know like what's happening in your country. So in a way you can also help.
Yeah, and I think and it's great. I think that more young people, like my age, your generation also, and everybody, like I said, because it's also so accessible. More people, I think, are becoming informed, and that is so important nowadays because But the thing is also because more people are it's so accessible to so many people. Misinformation is also it spreads like wildfire super quick, right? Because it's also accessible. So in the same way, you need to make sure that what you're reading is factual and you consume the news from credible news organizations. Because if it's just as information is such an important thing to know about now, or to it's so important to be informed nowadays. It's also um you also have to remember that misinformation can really ruin societies, and that's why it's also your responsibility that if you have a phone and if you have access to the news, make sure that you're also consuming the correct and factual um information, because then whatever it is that if it's correct, then you can share it also to other people. But if what you know is wrong and then you're going to talk about it to other people, then it also it's
It
that's
spreads.
how it is, right? It spreads. So just make sure that you're also a responsible consumer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, so to wrap up, if you were to give yourself one advice to your younger self, what would it be?
um if I were to, maybe it would be um to
Dapat
just.
magaling ah.
Oo nga eh, nakaka-pressure to ah. Wait, what is an advice to my younger self? I think I would, but no eh. Because I was gonna say kasi, to,
Maybe like in terms of your college life, like what could have you done maybe better, or
Differently, yeah.
I think, or if it was to my younger self, I feel like a part of me during high school and college was I was so intense. Like I always wanted to make sure that I would get this done and that I would excel in this area. And even like when I was in high school, like I was always competing as a dancer. So literally, like, since I was first year high school. So I guess that mentality was always in my head. And at the same time, maybe that's also why I was able to do all of the different things that led me to where I am today, right? But at the same time, maybe I could say, just calm down, relax. Sometimes it's okay to just chill. Um because at the same time, if you chill and relax, then you'll also be able to enjoy everything more. So similarly, maybe to whoever is watching, if they're the same way, that if they're in their high school and college days and they feel like they need to do everything and get everything done and excel in literally all of the all of the opportunities that they get themselves into, I would say to just take it easy. It's okay, because you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there in time. And it's okay to just pause and smell the roses once in a while, because everything it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And like, for example, with you guys, like, with your online classes now, I'm sure that it's frustrating, and some people or students nowadays, they feel na they're not able to do whatever it is that they want to do because of the pandemic. It's okay. Like, I mean, you can adjust and make do with the situation, but also it's okay to just take it easy, because everything in the end is going to be okay. It's going to be fine, and you're going to be fine. So yeah, just enjoy.
I like that. Galang,
Yeah.
galang.
I
Okay
really,
ba? Okay ba?
yeah, really good. Yeah, I really love what you said, because it's something that Miguel and I would always tell our listeners, and it's to be able to balance your time. It's good that you're focusing on your career. It's good that you work hard, but at the same time, you should still be happy. You should still be maintaining the relationships that you have with your family and your friends. And as long as you're able to balance all of those things out, then you'll be good.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's tama, because for example now, you also realize during this pandemic that what's really important is the relationships that you have with other people, because literally, so many people, left and right, that we've heard that so and so passed away or is sick, or so now you really, um parang you realize how important, number one, family is, and then your friends and all of the relationships that you have, the people that make you better. You have to make sure that that is your priority, because eventually, your career and your studies, I'm not saying to forget about your career or forget about your studies, no, but I'm saying that it's important to make sure that your relationships are intact, because in the end, that's really the number one. That's what's most important.
yeah, that's why to everyone listening to this episode, like we want to encourage you to continue to work hard to reach all your goals, but then don't forget to have some fun also in life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
also to
Yeah.
just to add, with regards to what you said a while ago with the current situation that we all have, that we're in a pandemic, I noticed like some people would up to now they'd say, "Oh, I really hate this. Like I'm so limited with what I have to do." But I think it's about time that you're supposed to adapt already to the situation, because it's really in no one's control. Like no one can just get rid of the virus. So it's good that you should learn how to adapt now, and it's what all the big companies are doing now. Like they even see a big opportunity when it comes to working from home, because it saves so much time or it's more efficient. So I think that's something that people should realize also, that the pandemic is not necessarily a limitation, but it's also an avenue where you can learn to adapt with what you
Yeah.
have.
That's great.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah. So to Ate Corinne, thank you so much for being here, the
Thank you so
clubhouse, and
much.
yeah, like I'm sure a
Thanks
lot
for
of our
having me, guys.
listeners, learned a lot from this episode, because I remember, like I think when I was a freshman, pa, I remember people asking me like, when are you gonna have someone who can talk about journalism? So this is the perfect episode to
Wow.
those people.
Really? People said
Yeah,
that?
really, 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 really. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Now it's here.
yeah. So now it's here. So I think, would you like to maybe shout out your Instagram and like where people can find you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can follow me. It's at Corinne Catibayan. It's or Core Catibayan, I think, on Twitter, but Instagram is Corinne Catibayan. So you can follow me there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ate. We appreciate it
Yeah,
for you
no
being here.
problem. Thanks for having me, guys. You're so cute, both of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. I really learned a lot about what goes behind the scenes and crime bait beat
Beat.
crime beat. Yeah, and yeah, really gained so much knowledge from you. So again, this is the Clubhouse podcast. Please don't forget to check out our socials. We'll be updating the next guest, or we'll be having campaigns there. So if you guys wanna stay posted, you check those out. And yeah, I'm Zach
Thank you
Pena.
so much. And I'm Miguel Mendoza. Thank you guys so much for coming.